Good evening and welcome to those who are joining us here tonight. This is the August 10th, 2020 meeting of the Goffstown Select Board. This meeting is being conducted remotely via the WebEx platform. And there's public access available via the telephone. There'll be more details on that very shortly. I wanted to start the meeting as always with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I want to share some details about how this meeting will be conducted. As chair of the Goffstown Select Board, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are doing several things. A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The town is utilizing the WebEx platform for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by dialing the following telephone number: area code 603-766-5646, and using the participant code 785645 followed by the pound sign. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public on how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. And D, if anybody has a problem with telephone access, please call area code 603-384-3624 for assistance. And finally, D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. So let's start the meeting by taking a roll call of attendance. When each member states they're present, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Yeah, my name is Collis Adams, and there is no one present with me at this time. Kelly?
Kelly Boyer, there's no one in the room.
Peter?
Peter Georgantis, there's no one in the room with me.
Mark?
Mark Lemay, nobody in the room with me.
And Chet?
Chet Bowen, no one in the room with me.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the acceptance and correction of minutes. We have two sets of both public and non-public minutes. There are both public and non-public minutes from the 7/27/2020 meeting and the 7/31/2020 meeting.
I'll make a motion. We accept the 7/27/20 public and non-public minutes as well, with the 7/31/2020 public and non-public with corrections.
Thank you, Mark. Who had the second?
Peter.
Pete, thank you, Peter. Call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any announcements that anybody wants to share with members of the board and the public at this time? I do not have any. Derek, did you get any last minute ones?
There is one, Mr. Chairman, at tab 3 of your packet. If you could just quickly go through that.
Yep. Okay, this is a public notice for the Village Piscataqua River Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee and is dated August 7th, 2020. The Goffstown Select Board has decided to form an ad hoc committee to evaluate the feasibility of constructing a pedestrian bridge across the river in the location of the old railroad bridge that was destroyed by fire in 1976. The committee's evaluation shall result in a report detailing the feasibility of constructing a pedestrian bridge in the location of the old railroad bridge across the Piscataqua River in the village. The report should include considerations for property acquisitions or swaps, design elements and budgeting estimates, and suggestions for funding mechanisms. The committee will consist of 9 members, including 1 representative from the Select Board, 1 representative from the Economic Development Council, 1 representative from the Goffstown Conservation Commission, 1 representative from the Goffstown Main Street Program, 1 representative from the Goffstown Parks and Recreation Commission, and 4 members from the community at large as appointed by the Select Board. 2 of those 4 will be property owners and the other 2 will be business owners. If you would like to be appointed as a community member on this subcommittee, please complete a volunteer application form by September 9th, 2020, and submit it to the administration offices at Goffstown Town Hall, or go online and complete the interactive volunteer application, which can be found at goffstown.com/volunteer-application/view/form. The Select Board will review volunteer applications and consider appointments at their September 14th, 2020 meeting. Okay, are we ready to go into our 6:15? Derek?
Yes, your appointment for 6:15, Ms. Bryant, is on the call if you'd like to start that discussion.
Yes, I think if she's ready and we're ready, we might as well roll right into it.
Jocelyn, can you hear us?
Hello? Ms. Bryant, are you there?
You may be muted.
She's not. You're not muted on the WebEx, but we're not hearing you. Jocelyn, can you hear us? Mr. Chair, maybe I can, if you can give me a couple minutes and maybe move to the police chief on the on item number 6, I can get her on the phone.
Okay, yeah, let's go to tab 6 in your packets. This is the police chief on purchase of some police cruisers. Chief? Go right ahead.
Thank you. So just real quick, with the adoption of the budget earlier in March, we were budgeted for 3 cruisers this year for CIP. We've kind of put that on the back burner to kind of see where we're at with the budget. We just received word that Irwin Ford up in Laconia has the 3 cruisers. Unfortunately, we learned through our 2019 cruiser that we just got outfitted this year that because Ford changed the dimensions of the cruiser, they're a little bit different in size. So now originally for the 3 cruisers, actually the cost increased about $13,000. So I was looking for the board to authorize me to release the funds of the CIP monies to purchase the cruisers, but also
Sounds good. Thank you.
also add transfer some money out of my budget to cover the added costs for the unforeseen changes to the cruisers. So essentially what we're looking at to cover all the costs would be $128,694, but we only budgeted for $115,000 originally.
Okay. Questions from board members for Chief on these cruisers?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Kelly.
Eric, where would this additional $13,000 come from?
So we have some savings in our wages line. Still haven't, we've still been down our 31st position. So we have some wages there. We also have a few savings in some other lines that we could kind of move over.
Okay, and then is this the anticipation that this will be the additional cost year over year?
Well, yes. I mean, this is what I'm looking as far as budgeting to make sure we're on the right path. But unfortunately, it's happened to us in 2013 as well, where Ford kind of changes the vehicles on us last minute, and then they don't notify us. And then our vendors tell us none of our equipment that we're using, that's the old stuff that we just change over, fits our cruisers anymore. So our light bars, some of the radio consoles, all that stuff has to change. So these are some of the unforeseen issues that we're facing with Ford. I'm hoping that in the next couple of years, they don't do this again, but
I have questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Kelly, are you all done?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. How much do you have in the special fund? Eric or Danielle, would you know?
that's a good question. I don't know offhand. I know that last year we spent the majority of it when we bought the pickup truck. But if we did have enough, that could be an option if that's what you're getting at.
Yes, that would be my option. Danielle?
Right now, there's about 70,000 in that fund. It is lower because they bought a cruiser last year. It could potentially come from there if the general fund can't support that overage.
Could possibly we take one cruiser out of that fund?
No,
Why
not
not?
a whole cruiser, but if you're looking for just the difference of maybe 13,000, you could borrow that potentially, but that's pretty low because that fund also has to support the payroll out of it.
So you think you could cover that 13,000 out of that fund?
So the other
Be my
option,
recommendation. I mean, you're gonna have, that fund's should balloon up a little bit as we get, going closer towards election time.
we hope, we'll see.
We'll
It's,
see, right?
yeah, that fund is quite low compared to previous years because we haven't had a lot of details going in, during the COVID months, and construction's been a little slower for police details from what we've seen on the payroll side and how many hours are being worked. As far as elections go, I mean, the chief could speak better to that, but I know that the town elections, we don't pay the detail out of that fund, so they don't see the revenue. We don't charge ourselves.
Yeah, with a presidential election coming in and the potential to have candidates coming through town, we usually bill them.
Mhm.
With COVID, who knows if that's gonna happen? But I would say, I would take that $13,000 out of that fund. That's my feeling. Everybody else is gonna kick in on that deal.
I have a question regarding that. I believe that there is a seed money that we had in there originally that we were keeping, that the town taxpayers seeded it. So we always wanted to keep a certain amount. And now, obviously, we're talking $13,000 here, almost 14. So if the board chose to go that way and we did go below that seed money, we'd make it back eventually. But that would be the only question.
What was the seed money?
When the, looks like Danielle probably has the number, but when this was passed at town meeting, it was that the first 6 months of 2013, all the special detail revolving charges to vendors would go into that, and then they would start paying officers out of it starting July 1st. So we've always looked at those first 6 months as the seed money to never touch that first 6 months that was put in there. And maybe Danielle has an idea, because I know we've highlighted that in the past.
Based on the conversion data, it's about $50,000.
So there you go. You got that money over, that seed money in there.
Call us question.
Pete, do you have any follow-up, Peter?
No, I just said
Okay.
you have that kind of money in there, you might as well use
Yeah.
it.
I just want to make sure you're done. Mark, did you want to say something?
Yes, Chief, the $13,000 that you're going to spend, or you're anticipating to spend, will that be for all brand-new light bars, or will we be using adapters to make these light bars we currently have work?
This is my understanding is this 13,000 is going to cover all brand new equipment for the 3 new cruisers.
Okay, thank you.
It's the difference. So hopefully we can use that moving forward to the next couple of years when we rotate them.
Will we be trading in the old light bars for new ones?
We typically don't do that. We try to sell them at auction, but we have to keep who writes out of it.
I was just looking to try to gain some of that money back. I agree with Peter. Let's take it out of the seed money for now and see what we can do from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Kelly, Chet? No?
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
Make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 3 cruisers for the $128,489. I believe it was the last number, wasn't it? And taking 13,694 out of the fund. I'm not sure exact, what's the name of that fund?
The Special Detail Revolving Fund?
Yeah, Special Detail Revolving Fund.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Peter and seconded by Kelly. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Pete?
Yep.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0-0. So we're at our 6:15 appointment. Also had 6:10 public comment. Derek, did you see anybody on there for public comment? Can we go right to our 6:15 appointment?
There is no one on the phone for public comment, so yes, we could move right to the appointment.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no one there for public comment, we'll move to our 6:15 appointment with Jocelyn Bryant at 118 Mountain Base Road. Good evening.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
Good. Can you hear me now?
Again.
Okay.
So why don't you give us a little background, Derek, or Ms. Bryant, whoever wants to give us some background on what we're looking at, what's being asked. I think probably you, Ms. Bryant.
I am looking to have some signage, additional signage put up over here at the dam. I understand that this the old dam used to be a popular fishing spot and swimming spot. And since it's been rebuilt, it is still a pretty popular spot. What I have witnessed is a lot of people coming fishing, swimming, using the area around the intake as basically like a little beach to set off on their boats or to stand there with even their dogs to let them swim, that kind of stuff. They've also taken the liberty to walk further over on the dam, which really invades my privacy. The dam is only 20 feet from my house, and they're standing out there, fishing and or sitting out there with chairs and just hanging out.
Okay.
I'm just gonna share some of the a map that is in the it's not coming up. So just for the board and anyone watching at home, this is the dam here. So the green area is the town-owned property. And Ms. Bryant owns this portion here. So this is kind of what it looks like after the dam was rebuilt in 2018, the project that DPW did. And then Ms. Bryant shared some pictures of kind of what she's seeing outside her back window.
So the dam is owned by the town of Goffstown
Yes.
and its citizens, right?
Yes.
And so I noticed Ms. Bryant said, or a portion. What, can you explain that a little bit more? What exactly are you looking to accomplish? I mean, I know in general terms, but it does say or a portion of it, so I'm not sure what that means.
If you look at that map again, where the stream comes through my yard is where, the intake and then the head wall is. And that is obviously closer to the street. So if worst case scenario, some signage could be put up to say, public access ends here, then that should or would hopefully take care of my privacy issue.
Well, I'd like to hear from other members of the board. I'm a little concerned that it's a town-owned piece of property. It should be made available to folks so that they can use it, including for recreational purposes. But I'd like to hear from some of the other members on the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to speak.
Yeah, is that Pete?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
We just rebuilt that dam a few years ago with taxpayer money.
Yep.
And I agree with you, that is town-owned property. I can remember going down there back in the early 60s and playing on the old dam. So, I mean, it's always been like that, and I don't really feel that we should be taking that piece of property away from the townspeople. That's my feeling.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Somebody else want to weigh in? So let me ask a question, Ms. Bryant. The small gray rectangle on that is a dock. Can you talk a little bit about that dock, how it came to be? How did that dock come to be on town property? Was it properly permitted?
That dock was here when I purchased the property, and I was told that it was part of what I was purchasing.
I'm sorry, what year did you purchase it?
2018.
2018, okay. But other than that just word of mouth, you'd have no documentation to show that it's a legally existing dock on town property. It's just unusual that typically when DES issues permits for docking structures, it has to be to the owner of the property or someone who has a legal right to the property. And Derek, are you familiar with any background on this? Any paperwork that shows that the town might have taken part in this dock, placing this dock there?
My understanding was that my property line did extend to the water in that little tiny slice there, which is where the dock was located when I purchased the property. It ended up getting moved a little bit once they reconstructed the dam and put it back in the water. It came a little bit closer to the house, but originally it was on that, right connected to that little piece that went all the way to the water.
That little point that's sticking down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, Mr. Chair, this is not a survey. This is just from the tax
Right.
maps, the online GIS. So this is
Right.
not a boundary survey.
Right. Other board members?
I'd like to find out, Collis, if the DES, what they have to say about it. See if in fact Mrs. Bryant does own the dam, or the town owns, not the dam, but the ramp, the boat ramp, to see if we own it or they own it. And I think prematurely to make a decision now until we find out about that. I would like to hold off and see what we can gather for information about that.
I would agree with you, Mark. I think that's an important issue to resolve, that issue with the dock. If it's not properly permitted and it hasn't been by proper owners, then, I don't want the town to be assuming liability for a dock on our property.
Hollis?
Yes.
That's just one of the issues. I think the issue is that the privacy issue, I think, is the
Yep.
main thing. And that hasn't changed since 2018. The property was like that when they purchased it. And I don't understand how you can, because you purchased the property, now you want to make it that the town people can't use it. I really disagree with that theory.
It was my concern from the beginning, and I was told that there was nothing I could do about it at the time, and that I shouldn't be concerned that there was not a lot of traffic going back and forth on this dam. And I was reassured by many people, DPW, my neighbors, and so forth, that I wouldn't have a privacy issue. And I guess my lack of understanding is why the public needs access to this area when there's a public beach right down the road that they can access the water from, and why the town wouldn't be concerned about people constantly standing around that intake and the erosion and whatnot that it's going to do to that.
Well, I'll just mention a couple issues here that it is town-owned. The dam itself is town-owned. The water body itself is owned and regulated by the state as a public water body for all residents of the state of New Hampshire. So we've got a couple of issues here relative to restricting access to people who up until now at this point, and presumably out into the future, should have access to town-owned property and state-owned water bodies. There are certainly ways to deal with privacy, curtains, screening, fencing, other ways that won't interfere with the public's right to access property that they own, quite frankly.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of restrictions being so close to the water, and putting up a fence and whatnot is not really something that's going to work.
Other members of the board?
Mr. Chairman, before you take any motions, Ms. Bryant did ask, she had a neighbor, Bob and Diane Wilson, and they're on the line and may want to add something. Can I add them to this conversation?
Sure, absolutely. Good
Right.
evening, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good evening.
I've been listening right along. I understand public access, and there are two other places. There is a swimming area just up the street that nobody seems to want to clean out. It's easy to go here. Public access to the dam one, I can understand that. But the traffic on the dam we're going to have an erosion problem worse than the one that we already had. But if people are here on the dam, like they were last year, 6 to 8 hours, where did they go to the bathroom? I found that last year. There's a lot of other things that I think should be taken into consideration along with what you people are saying also. And the fence, I don't know if that's it or not. A sign would be good. The police department in Goffstown doesn't have the authority to check people that are fishing licenses. And that's mandatory in the state. And Fish and Game are the only ones that can do that.
Is Chief Sereno still on with us?
I may.
Hold on, Mr. Wilson. The chair would like to hear from the police chief.
Okay, great.
Hey, Chief, what's your experience out here?
So, there are people that go out there fishing. We've never really had, as far as a police standpoint, any issues as far as, to my knowledge, anybody doing anything reckless or disturbing the peace. But, I don't live right there, and I haven't heard anything recently. So as far as fishing is concerned, I mean, whether it's the police department in Goffstown checking fishing license or Fishing Game, we don't make it our primary goal to check everybody, but we can ask that question.
So it sounds like historically there hasn't been, as far as you know, a police problem out there on the dam.
No, even on the beach, we haven't had many issues.
Yeah. Okay. Did I hear somebody else who wanted to contribute to the conversation?
Ask what the detriment would be to put up signage at that point of where the stream comes across and just limit the people to fishing in that one little corner, as opposed to what is the need to come all the way across in front of my property, for one, and for two, I would think that at least you'd want to limit the swimming so that people are not standing around on that intake. I mean, there is some regular fishermen that come that are very respectful. They stay over in the corner. They're very peaceful. And then, there's others that are not. So I haven't made it an issue as far as, calling the police department or whatever. I put up a video camera. I have plenty of, evidence of what's going on over here if you'd like to see more. But I just don't see how it's harmful to, the general public by limiting just a portion of this access.
Okay.
I'll also have a question.
Yep, Peter?
So if we were to do something like that, we would be giving these folks their own private beach, more or less. They bought the house in 2018. It's public property. I cannot see how we could possibly restrict the town from using that property.
Somebody's got feedback or crosstalk. I'm sorry, Peter, I didn't hear the end of yours. We got some feedback coming through. Peter, can you still hear us, Peter?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta turn my volume up. I took my headset off. It might have been making a noise.
Okay.
There. I can hear it. I just took that headset off. So I don't understand, if somebody bought, I guess it's a buyer beware situation. And I'm sorry that somebody gave us some bad information, but I don't think we should be restricting taxpayers who paid for that dam access to the availability to use it.
Yeah, I agree with those sentiments, Peter. I think it's public property. It ought to be made available to all of the Goffstown residents. However, I do want to get back to, if we're going to look at this piece of property, I want to solve it holistically. If we got a dock on that property that has not been permitted, that represents some level of liability to the town of Goffstown, people out on that dock that is attached to town property. And I think if we're going to look at this piece of property, let's solve the issues holistically and deal with that. And that can be done by making a phone call to DES, to their enforcement section, and finding out if they have on record a permit for a dock. And if it was a permit for a dock, it has to go to the property owner or somebody who has legal rights to that piece of property. And as far as I can tell, that would only be the town of Goffstown. So at the very least, I would like to table this until we can resolve that issue, because I think that's a threshold issue.
That's exactly what I said before, Collis. I would like to see us wait until we have the correct documentation, paperwork, and even the location where the dam needs to be before we act on this. So I agree with you. Let's table this. And if you want that to be a motion, I'll make that.
No, I can make that decision. I'm just going to table this. Derek, could you work with a code enforcement officer to see if there's anything on file, and maybe work with DES to try and figure out what's going on with that docking structure?
Yes, we'll do that. I'll also work with DPW to see if they have any, if they did any boundary drawings or research when they did the dam rebuild project a couple years ago. And then I will schedule Ms. Bryant and this issue on for the next meeting on August 24th.
Yeah. Only if we've got additional information to bring to the table that helps answer these questions. Yeah. Okay, good. We'll table this then and move on. Thank you for coming in, Ms. Bryant.
Thank you.
Let's see. Now we've got the fire chief. Chief Allard,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
item 7 in your packet, tab 7. Go ahead, chief. Floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I have 2 items this evening. The first one, back a couple months ago, the board authorized the fire chief to apply for an AFG grant, so Assistance Firefighter Grant, specific to purchasing COVID-related PPE. We were successful in getting that grant, and the grant total is $9,946.29. This was a 95/5 cost share, so 5% the town would have to pay. I'm here tonight requesting the board's approval to let myself or the finance director accept the grant.
Okay. Questions from the board for Chief Allard? Anybody? I think it's pretty straightforward. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion. we accept the $9,946.29 grant.
Thank you, Peter. And a second?
I'll second.
Second from Kelly. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Chet?
Yes.
Motion passes 500. Next on the agenda. Excuse me, lost my place here.
I had one more item, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, you have two. Go ahead.
That's okay. So staying on the grant theme, we're always out searching for grant opportunities for the community, and a very unique one has come about for this year. So the board may recall, and the public may recall last year we were awarded a SAFER grant, which was a staffing or adequate fire and emergency response grant that helps offset costs to communities. So the 2020 SAFER grant will be coming out later this year. The reason why it's unique is this year it's 100% cost share by the federal government, pays 100% for 3 years. So I'm looking for the board's approval this evening to apply for it when it does open. I do have a couple discussion points I'd just like to touch on, then I'd be happy to take questions.
Please go ahead, Chief. Floor is yours.
Thank you. So this potentially could positively impact our taxpayers for a 3-year time frame. My plan would be to utilize the funds for the from the SAFER grant, if we were awarded, to help offset our overtime budget as well as our part-time wage expenditures. And talking with the finance director earlier today, an average salary for a firefighter is about, with salary and benefits, is approximately $86,000 on average. So over the 3 years, this could be just over $1 million that funds we could receive. I am not looking to increase staffing. I'm looking to maintain our 6 people working per day. COVID has certainly been a game changer. We need those 6 people to be properly responding to calls safely. The SAFER grant is for full-time employment only. The SAFER grant helps us get closer to our goal of NFPA standards of response, number of employees responding to a fire. And just a kind of a last point, we obviously, in our CIP, we have some pretty large purchases coming up with some apparatus, and maybe this could help with some of those. So that's the request. I'll open it up. I'll take any questions that people might have.
Okay, thanks for the presentation, Chief. Are there questions from members of the board for Chief?
I have a question.
Yes, Peter.
On his bullet point, 1, 2, 3, fourth one down.
Yep.
He's talking about taking part-time employees and making them full-time employees. So you would be increasing your department by 4 full-time employees.
You are correct. So 4 full-time employees. In this note there was, it would potentially allow some of our current part-time employees, they would be given an opportunity to go through an application process and hiring process.
Yeah, that's my question, is you are increasing the size of your department by 4 people, 4 full-timers.
Full-time, correct. So
where the town did take a vote a few years ago for 8 firefighters that failed, and this is kind of almost circumventing the system when you do it this way. That's my own opinion, but
sure,
you know,
I'm certainly not trying to circumvent.
Kind of coming in the back door to put 8, to take that and make it 8 full-time people.
Okay, let the chief respond. Go ahead, Chief.
Sure, I understand your point. I'm certainly not trying to circumvent anything. I'm trying to present a grant opportunity that I've personally never seen in my fire career to the taxpayers. So you are correct, that would technically increase full-time, but day-to-day operationally is 6 people we have working, and that number I'm not looking to increase. I'm looking to stay at 6 people working each shift every day.
Peter, follow up?
No, I'm good. I mean, I just wanted to point that out. You know, I mean, I would say if we approve to go ahead with the grant, I think it needs to be, this thing doesn't necessarily mean what we have to do. Is that correct? Chief?
That is correct. We would have to go through the process, which is a competitive process, and we are certainly more than willing to put the effort in.
Yeah, my question to you just now was, is if you were to get this grant, is this what you would follow, or was that something you would look at in a different light?
I'm sorry, Peter, you cut out there 1 second.
Okay, so you have the 5 bullet points there. Okay, is that cast in stone if you get the grant?
Are the 5 bullet points cast in stone?
Yeah. On this presentation, you have the 5 bullet points.
So, yeah, there were several points there that I was just making to the board.
Yeah, but is that, if you got the grant, is that cast in stone or is that adjustable?
Which part? The full-time employment?
All of it. I mean, is it, once you get the grant, you have, yeah, you definitely, this is the only way you're going to spend it, or would you move it around?
So it's certainly negotiable. If we have to move things around, yeah, of course. The full-time portion, though, I did ask that specific question of the grant coordinator. That is not negotiable. It has to be for full-time employment.
Any other board members have questions for Chief Allard?
I have a question, Collis.
Yes, Mark.
Good evening, Chief. So let's say we do the process and the 4 or 5 very active call men or call people in the department now don't pass or don't score high enough. What is going to happen to those 4 people when we find 4 other people to take their place?
Sure, great question. Thank you for that. So my thoughts are to allow them to, when our full-time firefighters take vacation, is to backfill that with part-time employment. So we're not paying the overtime. That's where my comment, my notation or bullet point talks about bringing our wage expenditures for full-time overtime down.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to have some protection for the people that have been very faithful to us and have helped us get through the hard times, as you know. I just don't want to put them out in the pasture and say, thank you very much. I really want to hold on to those people.
Yeah, that's certainly not the intent. And matter of fact, last Thursday night, I had a department-wide meeting to talk about this specific subject ahead of time.
Thank you. I'm all set, Collis.
Thank you. Kelly or Chet, would you like to weigh in on this issue?
I have a question.
Yes, Kelly.
Chief, would this cover benefits? How would that work with the sliding wage scale that we have for compensation and benefits in general? Would the town be absorbing that into the budget?
So it does cover wages and benefits. And we would go out, I would work with finance to look at our current contracts with the bargaining unit and adjust that number accordingly in the grant application.
And this can't apply to current full-time staff at all. So it would only work with converting 3 part-time potentially to 3 full-time. What if we don't have 3 part-time people who want to become full-time? And what happens?
We would put a notice out for hiring process. The goal is to hopefully bring the part-time people on board.
Kelly, you have a follow-up?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yep. How about you, Chet? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, Chief, so the cost savings opportunity is obviously the no-brainer. Can you explain beyond these bullet points how this impacts efficiency, response times, and what applying for this grant and hoping that we get it, what does it allow you to do better than you're currently doing?
Sure. I mean, this month is certainly a perfect example. where our full-time people are starting to use their vacation time. And we only have a limited pool of part-time, one, and two, they can only work so many hours per week. They are capped off. They've certainly been a tremendous help to us throughout this COVID outbreak. So this would help us in maintaining that number, that 6 number, to properly and safely respond to emergency calls continuously moving forward.
Okay. Anything else for the chief on this item?
I have another question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Chief, have you had any conversations with part-time members to see if this is even something that they would consider?
Yeah, there's, well, as I mentioned earlier, we did have a department meeting. There was some discussion on it, but we have had members in the past looking to move forward to full-time employment. Some of them haven't met the minimum criteria, whether it's a internal physical test or the statewide physical test. Some of them, that's still pending.
And do you know how much our current overtime is now? Like what our estimated savings would be? I apologize if you already said that. You cut out for a few minutes.
That's okay, I did not. Just a ballpark, and I'm looking at Danielle, and I'm guessing she's looking up. I believe off the top of my head, somewhere in the $140,000 range. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Danielle, do you have any?
Unless Derek has it.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I was just going to remind the chairman that we have a public hearing scheduled.
Yeah, I think we're just about to wrap this up, so.
I still got another one.
Question?
I just heard the chief say if we don't have enough of our part-timers, that we're going to advertise for people. That means we're circumventing the vote for the 8 firefighters that was taken 3 years ago. I'm really concerned that we're doing that through this process.
I see Danielle wants to weigh in on this. Go ahead, Danielle. Can you shed some light on it?
I just wanted to confirm that the chief's correct about that overtime line. It's about 140,000 in the fire line. But additionally, as you might recall from the last SAFER grant, if the SAFER grant were to be awarded to the town, it would then have to go on to a special warrant article for the town to vote to accept it. So if the town didn't support it at that time, then we would have to reject the award opportunity at that point. That's
Okay.
what happened in 2019. It was passed.
Gotcha, Chief. Okay, Chief, did you want to add to that?
I did. I just wanted to respond to Selectman George Anthus. So certainly 3 years ago, I was not employed by the town of Goffstown. That was something that the prior administration did. Again, I just want to go on record. I am not trying to circumvent anything, do something we shouldn't be. I'm trying to present a unique grant opportunity. If this board decides not to do it, that's okay. We'll shift gears and we'll go in a different direction. But I think to do my due diligence to help offset taxes to the community, I need to present it to you. And that's why I'm here tonight. Not trying to circumvent anything.
Okay, I don't want to cut anybody off, but I get the sense there's still a little bit of discussion that needs to occur around this issue. We did have a public hearing scheduled for 6:45. We're a little bit late on that right now, so I do want to get to that public hearing. Derek, can you just give us a little bit of the background on this? This is at tab.
This is at tab number 8 of your packet.
Yeah.
And this is a public hearing. I'll just read the notice if it's all right with you, Mr. Chair.
Please.
In compliance with RSA 41:9-A, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to accept public input on the proposed update to the town-wide fee schedule in the administration, police, fire, public works, and parks and recreation departments. Copies of the proposed update are available online at goffstown.com under public notices or in the town clerk's office. And then a vote is scheduled on these fee updates this evening. Just to remind board members, back on March 23rd, we had this public hearing scheduled as well, but that's right in the initial phases of COVID. So we did not have a lot of public participation at that time. And So there was a vote at that time to table this and hold a public hearing in the future. And then also at your meeting on July 27th, there was discussion about increasing the parking fines at the Glen Lake waterfront from $25 to $100. So this is really those two changes. This is the fee changes that were discussed earlier in February and March, and the increase to the parking fine over at Glen Lake waterfront.
Thank you for the background, Derek. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone who is either online or joining us through some other means who would like to comment on this proposal. And again, this is the fee increases through various town departments, and then specifically on the parking fine increase on Glen Lake from $25 to $100. And I think I will add that there was an ad hoc committee set up to look at all of the Goffstown waterfront properties, including the Glen Lake waterfront, and they support the concept of an increase in the parking fines at Glen Lake, just as a little additional background. So is there anyone from the public who would like to comment at this time? Derek, do you have anyone that you can see on phone or?
There's nobody that is called in for this item. And I know that Goffstown TV, when they stream this, do put the call number on the screen. So it is on GTV as well as the Facebook stream as well.
So it's been well publicized.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so once again, let me ask if there's anybody from the public who would like to comment on this, because I am going to close the public hearing if I don't see any comments, and we are queued up to take a vote on these fee increases this evening. Okay, seeing nobody from the public who wants to comment, I'm going to close the public hearing. So we're good to go with taking action right now, I believe, right, Derek?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the updated fee schedule along with the update and fines at Glen Lake.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion by Peter and seconded by Chet. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0-0. So that brings us to Town Administrator's report.
Mr. Chair, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chair,
Can I ask a question?
did you want to go back to the fire chief and finish that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chief. Didn't mean to leave you hanging.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I know that it's been a while since I looked at the big matrix. I know this included the Glen Lake waterfront. Is there any other public access parking areas that we need to look at for fees? I believe this covers them all, but I just want to make sure.
I don't believe so. I'm not aware of any. Is there anybody else on the board who is aware of any might have concerns?
I do.
I don't think so, Kelly.
Okay. Man, we got a problem down at the sewer department. Chet, you could probably update us on that.
Sewer?
Yeah, so the sewer commission is concerned about porta potties and access, East Union, I believe, and also I think there was another place, and they were concerned about the public access to that specific place originally, also because of construction work, but that was taken care of because the construction was over by that point.
Yeah, so there's not currently, I don't believe, any ordinances in place with fines associated with them for parking at other areas, unless I'm missing something. I mean, if we need to do something to take action down at the pump station or other places for that matter, then we need to take that up as a separate item.
Well, they were complaining about what's happening down there. Derek, have they talked to you at all?
No, they have not talked to me or brought that to me. I can reach out to Lynn tomorrow. If that is a concern, that would require a parking ordinance, which is 2 public hearings, spaced 2 weeks apart with a vote 2 weeks after that. And then we would have to do either the regular parking violation fine, which is just $15 per violation, or we would have to enact a new fee and do a public hearing for that as well. So I will reach out to the sewer commissioners through Lynn Pooler and see if that is something that they'd like to move forward with.
Yeah, and unlike the Glen Lake waterfront that already has an ordinance and fines within the ordinance, this would be a new ordinance with appropriate fines attached to those. So it'd have to follow its own process. Okay. Chief, back to you. We're going to get back to you and wrap that up, Chief, okay?
Okay.
We're kind of in the middle of a discussion amongst board members as to how we want to proceed with this, but we do need to move forward with it. Does somebody want to pick up the discussion from where we left off? Peter, you were kind of...
I think I made my point, and
Okay.
I understand that it still has to go to the taxpayer to be voted on, but we really need to make sure if we're hiring 4 more people, that everybody realizes in 3 years from now or 4 years when that's done, we're still going to have the grant that we're currently on is going to be expiring. In 3 more years, you're going to have another grant that's expiring. That's a lot. That's almost $1 million in expense.
Yep.
We figured it out the last time. And I think we have to, I know the first 3 years we paid, but further down the line, it's still, you have to the long range too.
Mr. Chair, can I respond?
Yes, please, Chief.
So, Peter, thank you for your input there. You're correct. It would absolutely have to go to the voters to get their long-term approval, but it's not $1 million a year. I just want to correct that. So the $1 million number I gave was 3 years.
But by the time you have the added 8 firefighters, and we talked about this 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, the cost was going to be somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million. By the time you get done with the 8 firefighters and all the benefits and stuff.
If the town were to approve it, it would be, according to the numbers I have from finance director, on average $688,000 for the total.
That's the 8 firefighters.
You are correct.
Okay.
But again, I didn't originally present the 8 firefighters at once. This again was prior to my arrival. I'm just bringing the grant opportunity forward.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment, please?
Yes, please, Kelly.
Thank you. I think that if we were to move forward with this, there's a huge educational component that would have to go along with it to not only explain to the taxpayers our current SAFER grant, what it looks like when that's over. And then I think there would really have to be an extensive plan if we were to do the grant application of what that actually looks like for the town. And then what happens at the end of that 3 years if the taxpayers vote not to continue, what that actually looks like. Because I think that's the missing link with this is what happens at the end of it. I mean, I will note that this is 100% fully funded. So I personally think that this is a good grant for us to try for and then present to the taxpayers. But it has to be very clear and very intentional of what the money is to be used for, how it's going to change the departmental operations, what it means when that money is over, and to be clear that we're not accruing any additional cost in the budget year over year. And if those things can't be done, then if we can't present that well, I don't want to do it. But I mean, I'm all for giving people the opportunity, something 100% fully funded. That's how I feel, but I do think we have to be very intentional about separating both of the grants as we move forward and talking to taxpayers and explaining it and making sure that it's very clear what this means and what it does. And also internal communication with our part-time members. They are very integral to our 24/7 schedule, and I don't want them feeling like they're being pushed out for any reason.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kelly. I think there still needs some work to be done to make sure that it's clear and transparent as exactly what's happening each step along the way so that folks out there understand the impact that it will have to the town. And I'm not suggesting we're that far away, and perhaps we're not that far away, but I think there needs to be a bit more clarity and transparency added to the process. That's my personal
Right, yeah.
opinion.
And I think if we were to move forward with the grant application, that would sort itself out through the process of just going through a grant application. But I'm all for active transparency, and I think that really needs to be pushed if we consider this.
Yeah, and
Mr. Chairman?
the grant application process would provide that transparency and clarity. And I don't want to put the words in your mouth. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
I think we're all on board with transparency. And certainly one of my plans would be to work with getting the message out to the public, not only through social media, but also with GTV, and really sit down and explain that information to the public. Because I think it got clouded last time, and there's still some misconception that I'm answering questions on the current grant. So if we can get ahead of that curve, I think it'd be great.
So Chief, can you work directly with Derek to try and provide that that clarity that I think is needed to bring forward to the public so everybody understands? Can you work directly with him?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, Derek?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
So, Carl, motion
Yep.
to apply for the grant.
I'm sorry, say that again, Peter, you're breaking up.
I don't need a motion to apply.
Apply for the grant? Yes, we do. Yeah, we do.
I'll make that motion because I think having the clarity is going to be the important part. So I'll make the motion that we allow the chief to apply for it.
Apply for the grant.
Yes.
I'll
Okay, thank
second
you.
this motion.
That was a second by Mark. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 500. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's see, we're in now at the town administrators report.
Mr. Chairman, if we could skip ahead, we do have a public hearing scheduled for 7 PM.
Wow, is it 7 already? It is. Couple minutes past. Thank you for keeping an eye on the clock there. All right, let's move ahead to that public hearing. Let's see, what tab are we on?
Tab number 10.
Tab 10. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Derek. Can you just give us some background before we open the public hearing?
Yes, this came out of the Highway Safety Committee, and this was presented at your last meeting. This was a request to modify the existing traffic ordinance, which currently restricts parking on the, and hold on just a second. David, we do have you on the line. I'm just going to mute you for a second. We do have one resident that's calling in. This currently on the south side of Mountain Base Road by Uncanunic Lake. There is no parking on the south side of Mountain Base Road between McFarland and Orr Ave. This ordinance change would change that from and add the area from Orr Ave all the way down to Railroad, which is near the parking area for the hiking trails. And if you'd like, I can read off the notice that we have, and then I can show you a map of the area that we're talking about.
Thank you, that'd be helpful.
Okay, in compliance with RSA 41:14-B, the Select Board are conducting this public hearing on to accept public input on the proposed ordinance entitled Parking Prohibited on South Side of Mountain Base Road from Railroad Avenue to McFarland Road Ordinance. Copies of the proposed ordinance are available online at goffstown.com or in the town clerk's office. This is the first of 2 public hearings. The second public hearing will be held on August 24th, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. A vote is scheduled on this ordinance on September 14th,
2020. Yep.
2020, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that background, Derek. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing to accept public comment. Is there someone from the public who would like to comment on this proposed ordinance at this time?
We had Mr. Pierce had called in.
Yep.
He's dropped off the line.
Okay.
But I'd just like to bring up the image so the board can see. Oh. Hello, are you calling in to comment on the proposed parking ordinance this evening?
Yes, this is David Pierce.
All right, David.
Good evening, David. Good evening, David. Would you like to provide some comment on this proposed ordinance?
Yes. I've looked at the handout that was part of the Read Ahead packet, and it had a diagram of a map in which the area of Mountain Base Road that would be marked no parking on the west end. It extends around a right-hand curve towards the beach area. And I want to point out to the board that the pavement from Mountain Base Road ends at Broussard Avenue. And I've shown that on a diagram that I made available. Derek distributed my handout. After the pavement ends, everything is gravel, including what might be the extension of Mountain Base Road, and as it transitions into what you're calling Railroad Avenue. And it's also a free-for-all or unconstrained parking area for a trailhead. My point being is that there is no street sign indicating Railroad Avenue. The town has a website of streets in the towns, and that street is not labeled on the town's map. That may be a problem when the police department wants to enforce something and the person getting a ticket may say, well, I believe I'm on the correct side of Railroad Avenue. And the police officer or the defendant would say, could the police officer verify where Railroad Avenue is?
Okay, that seems like it should be a fairly simple matter to clear up.
It's Broussard Avenue. And that would leave the trailhead parking open. Hello?
Yep, go ahead, David. I'm just trying to look at the map and make sure I'm oriented properly here.
I'm surprised that you had no feedback from the Park Commission or the Park Department that you're about to put off limits all parking on that trailhead, because that's what the map would show in connection with your town ordinance.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
David, is what I understand you're saying you should stop it at Broussard?
That's my recommendation.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying. All right.
I have a second recommendation.
Go right ahead, David.
If the popularity of that trailhead is growing because we're seeing increased parking there, instead of punishing people for attempting to park and enjoy the recreational activities that the town offers on the Unconnected Mountains, the town really ought to consider developing a proper parking area, whether it's for the beach area or for the enjoyment of the mountains. There's an opportunity there that the town is missing. And maybe it's about time to have the Park Commission and the Board of Selectmen to look at whether a proper parking area can be built. You know, that's a discussion for another day. I just want to plant the seed for it.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that, David. Yeah, I think we need to engage the Parks and Rec Commission for sure on this and get their input and their involvement. I think that's important because this could turn into a fairly sizable project fairly quickly if we're talking about establishing a formal parking area with surfaces and pavement and who knows what else. So, yeah, I think we need to engage the Park and Rec Commission sooner rather than later. And I think I'll table this, Derek. Derek, can you make contact with them and see if we can get on their agenda and talk about this?
Mr. Chair, I think we have a couple of issues here. If you want the Parks Commission to look at that area and potentially developing it, as Mr. Pierce has recommended, I think we can do that, and we can work with Rick to get that item before the Parks and Rec Commission.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a public hearing on the proposed ordinance. So
Yeah.
I would suggest you take any more comment on the proposed ordinance.
Yeah.
You would hold the second public hearing on the 24th, and then you could make modifications to the ordinance and adopt in September if you so choose.
Okay. Okay. That's a good point. So is there anyone else who wants to provide comment? We are in the public comment period here. Anyone besides Mr. Pierce that you can see, Derek?
No, there is no one else on the public conference line.
Okay. So there will be a second. So I'm going to close this public hearing for tonight. And again, remind folks that there's a second public hearing scheduled for August 24th at 7 p.m. The vote is scheduled for September 14th, 2020. So the public hearing's closed. Derek, we'll need to do some follow-up to see what the next steps are going to be.
Yes, and we'll have that for you at your next meeting. Absolutely.
I have a
Mr.
question.
Chair, can I ask
Yeah,
a question?
hold it. Kelly first, I heard. Yep. Kelly, go ahead.
I'm looking at the map. Oh, sorry, I can't really see it. The map that we have in our packet, the green portion that is proposed for no parking. It does note that it's on the south side of Mountain Base Road or Street to Railroad Ave. That's what's being proposed for no parking. Can we clarify perhaps with PD if there is marked parking areas on the other side of the street?
Yes, we will research that. Yes.
Yep. Kelsey, do you have, Kelly, do you have something else?
Do you want me to answer that now, or do you want me to wait?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So as far as I know, there's not many signs in that area at all. In fact, the intent of this when we had highway safety was to go from that intersection of where the pavement ends and go straight back to McFarland. So I think to clarify Mr. Pierce's point, we weren't looking to put no parking on Railroad Ave or in the dirt portion of it, because there's parking all over. People are parking on roots of trees. They're parking wherever they can to fit a spot to hike. The intent from the highway safety was from the paved portion of the road all the way to McFarland. And hopefully, if this goes through, DPW will put plenty of signage up to show that you can park on the north side and no parking on the south side. Does that help answer the question, Selectman Boyer?
Kelly, does that help?
Looks like Kelly has low bandwidth at the moment.
Okay.
There she is.
Sorry, I
Kelly,
just
did you hear the response from? Kelly, did you hear the response from the chief? Oh, it looks like she's locked up, closing up.
I have a question.
Oops. She's back.
No, I can follow up with Chief after. I did have a question if this went to highway safety, because this is from so long ago, I can't remember. Sorry. We can get a recap. Sorry, I just missed the whole thing.
It was from highway safety, just to clarify.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back and find that initial report. Thanks.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter, please.
We changed the description of the no parking. Does that mean we have to start over again?
I will confirm on that. The last time you did no parking on Mountain Base Road, the proposed location for those no parking signs were, I guess, greater. It was a greater area than is currently posted, and you did make a change mid-process. But I will confirm if we need to renotice and push the schedule out, we will do what's appropriate.
Okay. Thank you, Derek. Anybody else? Questions on this one? Sounds like we got a little work to clean it up. Anything else? Let's see, what did we do? We closed the public hearing, right? So I guess we're done with that agenda item. Chief, any last words from you, Chief, on this? No, you left? Okay.
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, back to the agenda. I've lost my place on the agenda. Where are we?
Again,
Mr. Chairman, we're on the town
Town
administrator.
administrators report. Yep. Go ahead, Derek.
Okay, thank you. If you go to tab 9, you'll see your committee meeting schedule. Tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., the Sewer Commission is meeting.
I'll be there.
And Thursday at 7 p.m., the Planning Board will be meeting.
I got that.
Thank you. And next week at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, the Library Trustees.
I'll be there.
And then Wednesday of next week at 7 p.m. at Parks and Rec, Parks and Rec Commission will be meeting.
I will be there. Thank you.
Thank you. At your next page, you have your consent agenda for this week. You have employee status reports for a DPW seasonal laborer new hire, a part-time paramedic new hire, and a part-time election clerk new hire. You also have rights to inter in Shirley Hill Cemetery, Section 2, Lot 81. Then you have an event permit from the Uncanunic Mountain Snowmobilers Snowmobile and Mini Bike Show on October 17th, 2020 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is located at Parsons Drive, which is known as Cemetery Field.
Move to approve.
Was that Mark?
Yeah,
Okay, Mark made a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second by
Second,
Peter. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
yes.
Mark?
yes.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 500. 9,
9C, yes, you have a memo from the finance director to provide a grant update for the COVID grants.
okay, go ahead, Danielle.
The memo in your packet is a 2-page memo. I'll kind of reverse it a little bit and start taking a look at the chart that you see on the second page.
Okay.
That gives you a summary of all of the COVID-related expenses, or what we could classify as COVID-related expenses. As you can see, we're potentially talking about up to $660,000 in reimbursable expenses. But that only depends on whether or not the board votes to take option 1 or 2 that you see laid out on the first page of that memo. So there was a major change in the Gopher grant. As you might recall, the Gopher grant was the one that allotted $423,000 to the town of Goffstown. Those funds are available for us for COVID-related expenses. And if we do not utilize those funds by the end of the grant period, then those funds would expire and return back to the state for reassignment. So far, they've had some changes with the program. Initially, we were using the funds to do building modifications, to purchase PPE, hand sanitizer, things of those sorts, signage, potentially remote work equipment. However, the big change that came at the end of July after their second submission round was that it allows the town to actually submit for reimbursement of fire and EMS and or police payroll. And that would actually reimburse the general fund because it's payroll expenses that were budgeted. previously we could not submit for reimbursement of any budgeted expenses. So this is a very large change and we wanted to bring it to your attention. The recommendation would be to seek reimbursement for eligible first responder payroll, as that would allow us to gain access to all of those funds. And it's a much shorter reimbursement process from a paperwork standpoint. As an example, I can tell you that when we submitted for about $30,000, I had over 300 pages of documentation that had to be submitted along with that. And if we submit for payroll, we only have to provide them the payroll reports that are relative to those expenses. So it would cut down on the hours that we need to put that together, and it would give us access to the full amount of the funding. So it would, as you can see in your packet, there's some of the highlights is that it requires less documentation. All of the revenue would come into the general fund, which would help potentially reduce the town's tax rate. And town departments would remain held to their appropriations, and it may require that we move some funds around for lines that are overspent, such as emergency management lines where we've been putting those other COVID-related expenses, or we can allow them to remain overspent if that's the board's choice, as long as the bottom line is we don't overspend the total appropriations. So in option 1, the estimated grant eligible expenses are about 300,000, whereas in option 2, our eligible grant expenses would be about 663,000. I know that's a lot of information, so if you want a moment to digest it, and then I can answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Danielle. Are there questions from board members about the numbers that have been presented and the two options?
Quick question. Is this going to go into the general fund?
If the board votes to submit for the first responder payroll, that would go into the general fund as revenue and offset the budget lines.
So that's option 2.
Yes.
Other board members got questions for Danielle?
I like option 2, Collis.
Yep, so do I. Seems like almost like a no-brainer.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the finance director, the fire chief, the emergency management director, and the town administrator to submit the eligible first responder payroll to the Gopher program and accept the related reimbursement into the general fund as recommended, and I'll use option 2.
Thank you for the motion, Peter. Second? Kelly, did you second it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0-0. Next is the Goffstown Sports Complex, the fence bid award.
9D Delta, you have a the fence bid award recommendation from Eric Gustafson over at DPW. On August 4th, the town received 3 timely bids, and you have on the second page, you have the bid tab showing those bids. And DPW and Parks and Rec are recommending the select board award the 2020 Goffstown Sports Field fencing project to Blue Ribbon from Hooksett, New Hampshire, for a total contract amount of $64,173.
Thank you, Derek. It seems pretty straightforward to me. Someone want to make a motion since this is the low bid by?
I have a question.
I'm sorry?
I have a question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm looking at the second page bid tab. And I was just wondering if someone could clarify what the additional scope included.
Yeah,
I see that both other companies had a large additional scope, and I just want to make sure that we're not leaving out any incidentals that might come up later. What does that include? Does anybody know?
Rick, can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The additional scope is a netting, a netting it's netting that'll go up about 15 feet high, and it'll cover the front side of the pond where the field is. And it's basically like to catch a ball so it doesn't go in the pond.
So, does this blue ribbon fence bid include that netting?
That's the additional scope.
Okay, theirs is just significantly less than the other two bids?
Yes, and that other bid, Rad something?
Yep, RAD Sports, yep.
RED, thank you. RED Sports, when they put in a bid for the field itself, they were at like 1.2 million. So I just think they're very high-end operation is what they are.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't leaving any buffer out or anything like that. Thank
I
you.
don't believe so.
I'd
I
like to
don't
make
believe
a
so.
comment,
Yep, go ahead, Peter.
set Kelly a little at ease. Blue Ribbon's been doing fencing in this town, I don't know, 25 years maybe, and he was a resident, grew up in town, in Augusta, so he's always done stuff relatively inexpensive for the town. So he's helped us a lot over the years. So that's probably why it's a little bit less.
And Peter, I'd like to echo that same thing. Blue Ribbon has been very good to the community.
Alrighty then. Someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we award the bid for the Goffstown Field fencing project, the Blue Ribbon fence in the amount of $64,173.
Second.
Peter, and a second by Chet, was it?
Yep.
Thank you, Chet. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 500. All right, now mosquito spraying, which is item 9E in your packet.
Yes, thank you. On Friday, the town received notice from State Public Health that an adult in Bow, New Hampshire tested positive for Jamestown Canyon virus. This is one of the 3 viruses that is transmitted by a mosquito bite. And our arboviral risk has been increased to moderate. So I guess my question for the board is, do you want to pursue mosquito spraying on the town-owned fields and parks like we did last year when there was a case of Triple E?
Question, Derek, what is arboviral risk? Arboviral.
That is the risk of a infectious disease that's passed by mosquito bite.
Okay. Okay,
The motion, we spray under option B.
spray on our own?
The other way, you gotta wait 2 weeks.
Yep.
I would second that.
Okay, so we made a motion from Peter for option B and a second by Chet. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes 500. Where are we now? 7 p.m.
Tab number 11 for department head update.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. What we got first? Chief Allard, see you're first with an update. Chief Allard?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening again, everyone. So on the emergency management director side, we continue to monitor COVID on a daily basis, both locally and nationally. I think one of the bigger things recently, we have been working with St. A's College as their started their reopening back over the weekend. We had a meeting a week or two ago, and they shared some of their plans with us. They have a really good strategy on their reopening process, and we'll continue to monitor that as school opens here over the next several weeks. At the fire department side, our employees continue to remain healthy throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We continue to have an increase in call volume, specifically simultaneous calls. So 2 and 3 calls at a time seem to come in frequently. So we've been able to continue to meet the needs of the community in that aspect. And finally, our fire prevention division's been doing a really good job meeting with our local business owners to make sure they're able to provide services to the public. Specifically, we're working with schools, or trying to come up with a plan to address the state law with regards to a number of fire drills that schools have to have. Obviously, with COVID, that has to change somehow, and we're working with the SAU here moving forward with how exactly that's going to take place moving forward. That's all I have for highlights.
Thank you. Questions for Chief Allard from board members? Seeing none. Chief Serena, are you still with us? You want to give us a police department update?
I am. Thank you. Yes. So far, the police department is doing well. We're all healthy. We're in full swing of trying to balance our short staff and also get our vacations in to give everybody a little bit of a break. Some really good news at the end of the month here. Our 3 new recruits are graduating the police academy. It'll be a smaller police academy than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we'll get them back here and back into field training and get them on the road and be, as we like to call it, a little bit more useful to us. But other than that, we're chugging along pretty good. People are tired, but we're still going.
That's great to hear. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, sir.
Any questions for the chief? Rick, are you still with us for a Park and Rec update?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Rick.
The 3 of us are doing well. We're all healthy. We're finishing up our summer programming, our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fun in the Park and Art in the Park program. That'll be finishing up middle of August. We're looking at coming up with a plan for our instructional soccer classes, which are over at Roy Park. So we're going to follow our adult sports guidelines that the governor has put forth and get that running. Facility-wise, last week I was on vacation, but Mike was working very diligently, and thanks to DPW crew, we had a little microburst over at Roy Park with trees. So had quite a few trees taken down, but that's all cleaned up right now. And we're just moving forward, keeping the fields, the athletic fields up to speed. We're still waiting to see what is going to happen with athletics, high school athletics. I foresee that youth soccer will definitely probably follow and have a season. So the fields will be needed for those programs. As far as the high school side of things, the plan is going forward to have a season, but they're not going to start practice until September 8th, and their first games are probably 2 weeks after that, if that even happens. Other than that, that's about all I got for you.
Great.
The sports field, the irrigation will be complete probably next week.
Excellent. Thanks, Rick. Any questions for Rick? I don't see Diane Hathaway. Kelly, do you have anything from Diane that you want to bring forward?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do. So for an update for the Goffstown Public Library, they are currently taking computer reservations for any resident that needs to use a computer. You can call and make an appointment, and they'll assist you with all of the required social distancing and things that need to happen to use the computers. They're still doing their parking lot book pickup. So if you need materials or would like to request a book bundle, you can give them a call and they can assist you with that. And currently the library is also working on their phase 4 reopening, which will come sometime towards the end of August. And also currently they're doing a really fun thing on the library grounds. It's a story walk where you can walk around the little grassy area and read a story. So they have that up right now, and that should be to the end of the month.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions for Kelly? And then finally, Derek for Town Hall Administration.
Yes, thank you. We've been working with the town clerk and to prepare for the elections. Absentee ballot requests, normally for a state primary, they only see between 100 and 150 before a state primary. Currently, absentee ballot requests are up above 400. We do have some part-time help that's coming in for a few hours a week, and we met last week to kind of brainstorm to come up with some solutions to assist Kathy and her staff there. On Friday, we had a meeting with election officials, with the moderators, supervisors of the checklist. Selectman Georgianis participated in it as well to go over general concerns about the September primary and to start to brainstorm some solutions. We'll be picking up all the election PPE from the state of New Hampshire next Tuesday with the help of DPW. So we're very grateful for their help on that. As part of that, we have removed the drop box that was in the rear vestibule of Town Hall. We've done that because absentee ballots dropped in a drop box create quite a workload for town clerk, as they have to call the person up, see who was dropping it off. It was the person who had the ballot or somebody assisting them, and there's quite a bit that goes into it versus when it comes in through the mail or if it's delivered in person. Beyond elections, CIP had their last meeting, and they approved their matrix, and Danielle's working with Mr. Raymond on the final presentation for planning board in September. The original candidate for the Vista position declined the position when offered, but we do have somebody that has stepped in, and we interviewed, and they've accepted the position and will be starting here at the end of August on that. We're excited about that. And otherwise, revenues in the town clerk's office are looking very good. They are right on schedule. And we did get confirmation from the state that highway block grant will be down a bit, but it is a lot less than we thought. It's only going to be about a shortfall of $12,000. So they'll be easily made up areas. And then finally, Danielle and I will start working on the revised estimated revenues for the future meeting for the board. And that will be one of the final items that needs to be before we get to tax rate setting in October.
Thank you, Derek. Any questions for Derek?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure, please.
I just wanted to let the rest of the selectmen know that working the polls is going to be completely different than what we're used to. And when Derek mentioned the PPE that's coming in, and just to give you an example, they're sending us 5,961 pairs of gloves, 3,974 surgical masks. I don't remember the pencils. It was, I think, 1,000 pencils. Or maybe it was more than that. So everything is going to be different the way we're used to doing it. We're going to have face shields, masks, and face shields. So it'll be an interesting day. And I would plan on a very long day that day. Don't you, Derek, don't you think? We still have to clean that place out that night with the schools the next day. So.
Yeah, I've been communicating with Scott Gross and Brian Balke at school, so we'll have more information. But yeah, the cleanup turnaround is going to be much quicker. We're going to have to get all the gear out that night because, again, the schools have their reopening. They have day one for the kids back that following day. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So as we know, it's going to be not anything we're used to doing.
That's going to be quite the dance.
Derek, I was going to ask you, I know we can hire, we can get people to come in pro temp. And if there's all 5 of us in there, can we still get somebody to come in pro temp?
I believe so. I will get confirmation on that, though.
Because we may want to have, if we're going to be all suited up in gear, you may not be able to sit there all day or stand there all day. So we may want to see if we can get some relief people.
Yeah, we're going to need some help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? So that brings us to item 12, which is select board discussion. Any new business?
Mr. Chairman, there was one department head. Adam is on the line for.
Oh, yes, okay.
I don't know if you want to.
Whoops, I forgot him off the list.
I don't
Thank
want
you.
him to feel left out.
No, not at all.
Oh, Derek, and I was going to owe you a cookie, but yeah, I'll take that cookie back. I'm going to go. Hi, guys. Folks, sorry, I'm going to go videoless tonight. I'm having connection issues, so I didn't know if you had called on me and heard crickets there or not. Short update for us this week. Work continues at Shirley Hill. We had some drainage pipes to replace at the Wallace intersection, and then the work that we had left there from last year to actually grind back the intersection. So the reclaim has happened. Sounds like probably not tomorrow, but either Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to get that paved back in. They have to be fine graded first. Welch has also been reclaimed, and East Union has been fully reclaimed, even though it was mostly there anyway. We've got some rough grading to do left at East Union. The drainage is done, and then the curbing will come in. But that is scheduled to be paved this week as well, and as Welch.
Adam, just a quick question, Adam. The tree removal on Shirley Hill on the scenic road, how'd that go? Okay.
So I sent out the required. I received the written notification from the board from Derek. Thanks, Derek. In turn, then I turned around and sent the certified mail to the abutting property owner, and I actually did not hear back last week. So I'm going to follow up with them. I spoke to them on the phone and let them know it was coming, and we talked it through. It didn't sound like there were going to be an issue, but I didn't receive confirmation yet from them that they're okay. And as soon as I do, then we'll call in the tree company.
Okay.
The other big thing for us is the DPW building project. We had encumbered funds from 2019 for the parking lot portion of that work. We've got that back area pretty much up to grade, and some drainage has been installed and connected to the system there. So getting ready to make that black, and that'll finish off that project. That is the big stuff from us. Derek mentioned the PPE pickup for the elections next week, and of course Rick's field project.
Thanks. Any questions for Adam? Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
I think that hit everyone. Anything else, Derek, that we need to take up as new business or old business?
I got something.
Sure, go ahead, Peter.
It's not a new old business. It's not on our sheet, but at one time we talked about Wallace Road, the roundabout, and doing something there.
Yep.
With school getting ready to start up again, do we want to do something there? A stop before entering type thing? Collis, you and I talked about that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's something that we should get back on the horse and figure something out.
Yeah. Adam, you got anything you can add on this as to Peter recommended maybe a stop before they enter into it from Wallace Road?
We had brought that up with the engineer as part of the review that they did, and I think they were intrigued by the idea, but couldn't think of any locations where something like that had been done yet. I don't think it's precludes that from happening. I don't see how it makes the intersection any less safe. That's for sure from our end. So it'd be something I'd be in favor of sending to a public hearing if you're gonna do something, or if it's just a advisory sign. You don't even need a public hearing if there's no teeth behind an ordinance.
Yeah, and I think they also had recommended some incremental changes, a little tuck on the pavement here, a little increase in the radius there without spending big dollars on it. Can we implement some of those as well? Or do we have a price tag on some of those? I think it was, forgot the number, but it wasn't big money, but there was some money involved.
We did. I want to say, I don't have it right in front of me either. I want to say it was in the five figures, low five figures. The one thing though that we could pull the trigger on, pretty low impact, but it seems to make a lot of sense, would be to install 2 additional street lights. Right now, only one of the 3 legs there has one. And that was one of the recommendations, was to add 2. And I think approximate cost for that was around $4,000 based on our previous conversion.
I mean, I'd be in favor of supporting those types of small changes that maybe could make at least some difference. I think we got to try something there. What do other folks think?
I'm in favor of it. We got to do something.
Yeah.
Whether we start with lighting or we start removing the cobble that's there, we need something to get done.
Yeah.
The lights, I think we can get before school starts. I'm not sure, but I think the lights would be a good subject.
And I'd be interested in trying the stop sign there to see what that does.
It would cause a break. It's going to cause a break because people will just dive it in there. I almost get taken out again the other day. So,
What do others think? Kelly, Chet?
I think we should, I mean, I would like to have public input on that. There's multiple options for sure that we should consider, especially from our study that was done. But if we want to do a list of short-term solutions to implement, I think we should map that out more clearly of what our options are. And if we want to move forward with something fully, I'd like to have a public hearing on that.
Others? I mean, the consultant did recommend some changes to, like I say, tucking the pavement here, changing the radius there, converting to cobble here. So that information's been out there and available to us. I think we've all had an opportunity to review it. So,
Mr. Chairman, there were 5 areas of improvement, and the total, just rough, was, let's see, 34, 41, $76,000 for all 5 together. Like Adam said, there were some lower hanging fruit, like the street lights at $5,000. And then there were some more substantial ones that would require a considerable amount of construction, redoing the cobblestones and the center traffic island, which would impact the traffic flows there. If you'd like, I can add the information back for discussion on the 24th, or if it's the board's pleasure, we could seek public input and conduct a public hearing on the matter.
is that really necessary?
yeah, I was going to say, do we have to do that procedurally?
You do not. No, you do not.
I mean, we've been kicking this can down the road for way too long, in my opinion. I think we need to take action on things that we can take action on. I think the installation of some of the street lights is a great idea. I think the installation of a stop sign we can do. I mean, these are really low cost items, I think, that we could do to at least try and bring about change before school opens.
I'd like to make a motion, Carl.
Go ahead, Peter. I'd like to hear
The
it.
motion would be to direct the DPW director to research putting the street lights in and a stop sign, and have it for us for our next meeting.
Okay, can we also ask him to break out the costs for those minor pavement modifications?
I think we already have that, don't we, Derek?
We may have. I just want to bring it back to the forefront. Yes,
You do, and I will provide you a link after this meeting to that information. It's for
Right.
those, if anyone in the public is watching, it is, the entire presentation is with the select board minutes online. It was done on April 27th.
Yeah, we don't want them to get confused because there was 2 of them there. One of them was like $500,000 or something.
It was like purchasing land.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I just make a clarification on, actually, sorry, Peter made a motion. I don't know if you want a second first before I ask the question.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Kelly, but I think you said Peter made a motion. We're looking for a second.
I think Kelly said she was going to second that, right, Kelly?
I'll second that. Yep.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I'll make discussion. I just wanted to clarify in my comment that if there are any suggestions that we haven't already discussed, I would like those listed as an option. I don't want people throwing stuff out at us when we haven't had time to review it. We're gonna get this done, let's get it done. But if people have other ideas, let's make sure that's included.
Right. Derek, can you refresh that information and get it back out to us so that we can have it in front of us before the next meeting?
I can. I guess my only question is, the motion includes installation of a stop sign. That's a traffic ordinance that takes 2 meetings spaced 14 to 21 days with a vote 14 to 21 days after that. That's a 2-month process.
Well, if we're committed to doing that, we ought to get the process started.
Yeah. You want me to break that motion out?
Yeah, would you, Peter? Let's break that up. Let's deal with that specifically since it requires an ordinance.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor and it's already been seconded, so I'll rescind that motion. Kelly says a second.
Who made the second?
Me, Emerson.
So my first
On board with
motion is to start the process.
Okay.
Stop sign on the Wallace Road into the roundabout.
So that's the specific motion we're making now, Peter. Thank you. And somebody want a second? What's that?
That has to go through the traffic light.
Right.
I'll second that, Collis.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion on this? Very specific motion now. Any discussion on the motion?
No.
All right, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. So motion passes 5-0-0. So now we've got the other stuff to deal with.
So,
well,
The recommended items, Mr. Chair, none of the recommended items in the study that came over to us from VHB required public hearings. So if you'd like, I can provide those to the board and you can discuss those as an agenda item on the 24th.
That's perfect. Thank you, Derek. That'll refresh everybody's memory. We'll have the information in front of us for the next meeting. Thanks, Derek.
If I may, Mr. Chair, would you like me to proceed with the streetlight installation request from Eversource? Was that the consensus of the board?
I would. How about everybody else on the board?
yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Okay, all right, yep, move forward.
That way we have it all ready to vote on. I mean, we have the number and everything.
Yep, go forward. Go ahead with it, Adam. Please.
Sorry, just to be clear, am I just going to ask that to happen? Am I going to have those installed, or did you want to just have the implementation plan for the next meeting? Because I could pull the trigger tomorrow. I could call them and request 2 new installs, and that could just happen.
It was my understanding we were going to go forward with the streetlight installs. And then next meeting, we'll have all the background information. So I'm sorry, Peter?
I'll make the motion to go ahead with the streetlight installs.
Thank you. Second from anybody?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mark. Motion and a second to go ahead with the installation. Was it 3 streetlights? Do I understand? Yeah.
Two in addition to the one that's already there.
Okay, one's already there, right. Okay, so a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Can we just clarify exactly where we're talking about, please?
Yep. Adam, there's already one there.
There's one, I believe the one is at the east leg of 114. We would be adding one on Wallace Road and adding one on the west side, I think are the 2 that don't have it.
Does that help, Kelly?
Yes, thank you. I just want to clarify that.
Yep. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. And any further discussion? I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thanks. That motion carries 5-0-0. You all set on that, Adam?
I am. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. And then we'll bring forward the rest of the information for our next meeting for discussion. Put it on the agenda. Let's see, that brings us back to, is there any other new business or old business?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question, please?
Sure, please do.
Thank you. If I go back to 9E, the mosquito spraying, we voted to do that, but There was also a component of C that included putting out education, and some of that was kind of for personal in your home education, as I reviewed it again. Can we still put that out also,
Sure.
in addition to, I should say?
Yes, we will put that out.
Yeah, blast it out. Yep. Thank you. Anything else?
Motion, Collis?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion, we go into non-public.
Yeah, nothing, wait a minute, just anything on the action matrix? It looks pretty straightforward. I didn't see anything there of concern. So yeah, let's make,
And just to let you know, Mr. Chair, there is nobody on the public line for public comment at this time.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, 2, if necessary, A compensation.
Thank you. Motion by Peter to go into non-public,
I'll second.
second by Kelly. I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, getting tired here. Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so the motion to go into non-public passes 5-0-0. Thank you, everyone who's been watching tonight. We're about to go into non-public. This wraps up the public portion of our meeting. Please stay safe, stay sound, stay healthy.